Millions of dollars going toward improving our state roads, highways, and bridges. Here with an update, Mississippi Department of Transportation Executive Director Brad White. Director White, we always love having you on the show whenever you're on the coast. So
thank you for letting me come on.
Now here's kind of our setup. Jason White, the new Speaker of the House, has put together this study committee. And one of the things they're going to be looking at is what Governor Reeves supports, which is eliminating the state income tax. A concern is, how does that affect tax collections, revenues, and budgets? Are you concerned about that?
Well, not as much for that component, because as you know, MDOT is a special fund agency from the fuel tax, and we understand that reevaluating the way that infrastructure is funded in the state is also going to be a component of what the Speaker's Committee looks for. And that's one of the things that we've been looking for under the Capitol Dome is a champion, and I feel like Speaker White may be our opportunity this next session.
Well, what could he possibly do in terms of kind of reforming the funding mechanisms?
Well, we've been advocating for some time about the need of modernizing our funding model. That could be re-looking at fuel tax, but that could also be looking at other streams of revenue in the existing budget that the state has that could be dedicated to the Department of Transportation's maintenance program and capacity construction program on a dedicated stream revenue, one that's reliable and that we can count on and plan for. And that's what I would hope would come out of that as far as the Department of Transportation is concerned.
You know, and you touched on it there, and I want to remind everybody, every time you're on, you talk about how really you're working on two different components when it comes to the Mississippi Department of Transportation. There's maintenance and there's new construction or new projects for the future. And you're always having to balance that.
Right. We have the need to protect the $66 billion investment the taxpayers already have in roads and bridges around the state, but we also need to be building that system out with efficiency measures and making it stay up to speed, if you will, with the traffic needs and being able to move traffic and goods in an efficient and safe manner. So it takes both to have a healthy, vibrant transportation system.
I'm going to ask you a question. About a month ago, I guess it was, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was in the state of Mississippi, brought in essentially by Congressman Benny Thompson in the 2nd Congressional District. Did you met with Buttigieg while he was here?
Well, I was in the room when he was there.
You didn't really have a chance to...
No, he and I just exchanged niceties, but it was mainly a panel discussion with Congressman Thompson, Commissioner Willie Simmons, who represents the Central District on the Transportation Commission, and Secretary Buttigieg, and they talked about rural Mississippi. The primary discussion was centered around the Delta, but the needs for funds to come into states like Mississippi to help promote economic development by investing in this core function of government.
Yeah, but he's in Benny Thompson's district. That's Jackson, that's the Delta. You've got booming areas like the Mississippi coast and let's face it, DeSoto County and some other places up in the northern part of the state. And I know they want to bring these underserved areas up to speed, but if it's really an investment, you got to look at places like the coast in my book.
Well, sure. Well, you've got needs all over the state.
Instead of it just being a photo op for Benny Thompson.
Well, but that's more of the reason that we must look at modernizing our funding system so we can attempt to do all of it. There's needs all over the state. There's needs to move people and goods all over the state, especially the highly populated areas where you're having congestion and traffic issues that have become unsafe for the people trying to travel on it. But we're never going to be able to do that if we don't modernize the funding system that we've been operating under. We're working in 2024 on a 1987 funding model, and that's what we need to have addressed, and I'm hopeful the Speaker's Committee will do that.
Okay, a lightning round, because we have just barely more than 2 minutes left, and I picked 3 projects. I-10 widening from County Farm Road to Diamond Head. We're seeing great progress there. It's about an $84 million project, isn't it?
The I-10 over in Diamond Head, that you've got about a $155 million project there. It was doing 2 roundabouts, widening an overpass, and widening the interstate from 4 to 6 lanes, and a few other message boards and things like that we're putting in it. Scheduled to be completed by 2027. Good contractor. I feel like they're on schedule, and it's an inconvenience now, but it'll be worth it once it's completed.
Well, it is an inconvenience to people. Don't worry. We hear about it. You hear about it. We hear about it in the newsroom. But I want to remind people: no pain, no gain. You know, I mean, everyone hears about these things. They don't expect out of a genie to create. These projects. It does take time. Here's the other one, Highway 49, about on Neal Road, I believe, up to about School Road.
That's right.
And this one part of this project is the anticipated growth up at Highway 53, and we all know that's happening in North Harrison County.
And this is the first capacity project the legislature funded with one-time money 2 years ago. It's about a $45 million project. It would be six-laning that section of Highway 49. So it's one of the efforts the legislature gave us with one-time money to move these projects that were ready to be built off the shelf, so our programmatic dollars can hopefully move the next projects on the list, if you will, up to the top of the list.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Highway 90, or as people in Ocean Springs call it, Bienville Boulevard. There's a project to widen there from Washington Avenue to Dolphin Drive. We have about a minute left. Do you still have to acquire right-of-way on that?
We're in the process of doing it. Don't anticipate a problem with that. The construction costs are going to be much greater than our original estimate from a couple of years ago, which that's going to be the problem with a lot of projects upcoming. But hopefully with the help of the legislature and addressing these funding issues, that won't be too high of a hurdle to jump.
And the importance of striking while the iron's hot, with the cost of materials going up. Well, they just went up since we started this segment.
Yeah. Well, materials, labor, the whole 9 yards of that is going to cost more. So doing it now, the sooner the better.
Okay. Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation, MDOT, one of the biggest agencies, most critical agencies in the state. Always good to see you, Director White. And thank you
very
being with us
much
on the Mississippi coast.